Don't mind this little thing on my face. I got attacked by a bear in the middle of winter. So welcome back to another episode of the book review by yours truly. And also, if you're new here, yeah, my mic changes colors a lot, and I'm wearing my glasses like a grandma because my ring light really likes to reflect off of them. So don't mind that either. So compared to the last episode, this one is going to be a lot better, I would say. Well, quality-wise, maybe not so much, but book-wise, it's gonna be better because I'm reviewing yet again another romance novel. However, it's not a romance novel by our favorite Colleen Hoover. It's actually a different book, a book by Laura Thalassa, is I think how you say her name, and this one's called Pestilence. It is book one of the Four Horsemen. As you guessed, yeah, it's a romance novel swooning all four of the horsemen of the apocalypse, which I thought was interesting because I like the fantasy element of it, of course, as always, and also the Four Horsemen are already an interesting topic, and I thought I wanted to try more romance books. Why not this one? So this story follows a girl named Sarah, who is a damn, if I could speak, a firefighter in the basically the apocalypse. Pestilence, if you guys didn't know, is another word for the plague. So this one revolves around, the plague personified. And I think it was really interesting how they portrayed him in this book. He is he's a very gorgeous man, as all romance male protagonists are, and he has a horse, he has a steed, and he has a bow and arrow, which, very interesting. Sarah, she is with her group of other firemen, and basically they draw straws to see who's going to attempt and assassinate Pestilence, which, if you guys couldn't guess, goes terribly wrong. So it didn't work out well for our Sarah here. She almost gets killed by this guy, if you want to call him that, and he pretty much kidnaps her. Yeah, I don't really remember why he did that, but he does. I think it was to learn more about humanity and stuff. But she tries to escape, fails, gets hurt again. Doesn't go well for her at all, actually, and I feel bad. So while, Pestilence is wreaking havoc and stuff, he drags her along with him. And, basic romance plot, they find out a lot about each other, more, I guess. And they go, for some reason, Pestilence, wow, if I could say this guy's name right, he goes from house to house, basically barging in, just being like, hey, I'm taking your place to stay with this, girl I kidnapped. So that's basically the plot of this story. I will say, I wasn't disappointed. I thought I would be, because romance is not my favorite genre, mainly for the generic tropes, but this one was alright. So I'm actually gonna stick with the script this time, and unlike, last episode, I just complained the whole time, I'm actually gonna give you some pros and cons, like how I did with the other two books. So, first pro of this story is the writing. When it comes to writing and stuff, I always pay attention to styles of authors, because the way they write really impacts the story, if you know what I mean, because you can't just have, you can have a great grand idea for something, write it down, and have the worst description, dialogue, etc., anything, it could make the story boring. But for this one, the writing was beautiful. I really like her writing. So I really, no complaints here. I was intrigued the whole time. I had to put it down, but not necessarily I didn't want to, but I also was intrigued enough to the point where I kept reading it instead of just dropping it completely. And you guys are going to hear me talk about pacing a lot, because pacing is also a very important thing in stories. This one, though, pacing wasn't awful. It is a decent read. I think about 400 pages or so. So it wasn't bad. And like I said, yeah, it's 400 pages. I was intrigued the whole time, so I didn't, drop it. So points for pacing. Another good thing about this story were the characters. Sarah was a pretty solid character. I liked her. She wasn't annoying like a lot of female protagonists are. Don't hate me, that is just what I observed. And also Pestilence was a good antagonist, I would say. He, I feel like besides him being really attractive, they captured him pretty well. I mean, I only say that because, like, it's a romance novel, so of course he has to be very dashing. It's the law. It is the law. They have to be gorgeous. But that was about it. Even like the side characters that they met when they went from like house to house, they were pretty solid too, and I really enjoyed how each of them were different from each other. And I mean, I want to say they added a little to the plot, or at least they added a bit to Pestilence's character and how he developed through the story. So, pretty solid book overall. If you are a romance fantasy, I would say it's a good recommendation, especially since it doesn't follow, or at least it doesn't follow much of what you see in a lot of romantasy books, which is why I stray away from them, because they all follow the same formula. This one, however, it strays a little bit away from that, and I can appreciate that about this story. So this may come as a shock to most of you, but I really don't have any cons about this book. The only con I will say I do have would be the ending, which I don't really want to spoil it a lot for you guys, but obviously they, fall in love, whatever. I guess this is kind of a spoiler unless you were expecting this, but Pestilence stops being Pestilence pretty much, and he like settles down and he stays with this girl. Very sweet ending. Okay, I can get behind it. But the thing with that is, I feel like in this story, Sarah, she developed somewhat of a Stockholm syndrome. Like, sure, Pestilence, like, she made him change his mind, but it's still like she fell in love with her captor, which, by the way, his whole goal was to make her, like, suffer because, she tried to kill him. So, like, a little bit of Stockholm in there, so I don't really know if I like that aspect of it. And I guess another con that is kind of unavoidable with romance books is how quickly the attraction develops. Because, like, you always want to keep, like, with romance books specifically, you always want to keep your audience intrigued by the connection that the characters have. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like this was a little too fast. But it's also like, I'm no expert in the romance industry. I don't really write it that often, and even if I do, I try to either have already established couples or at least have a little bit of something going, not from like strangers to lovers pretty much, or enemies to lovers. I want it to feel natural. But I guess with romance, it's really hard to make stuff like that natural when you have so many pages, so much material to use. So I can't really say that is a con. It's more of a personal issue, honestly. More of a personal issue. But this was one of the stories I enjoyed for the most part, and actually want to read the other three. Although by the time I actually got to it, there were none in store, so I'm gonna have to wait till I finish a majority of my books to actually pick up the second, third, and fourth one. Although I will say I am interested in how the other stories play out. I'm curious to know if it's going to be the same formula used in the first one, or if there's gonna be like different aspects to it, or if any of them are gonna end up with a quote-unquote bad ending where the horseman just falls in love, but then he is like, yeah, no, this isn't gonna work, and then just destroys the world. And also, I'm pretty sure all of these books start at the same time, I think in different places, but it's so crazy to me how like all four of these, like, how is not everybody dead? Like, all of these guys are here. The four horsemen of the apocalypse, mind you, all four of them on Earth at the same time. Even though when they're in different places, I still feel like it would. I still feel like there wouldn't be enough people to have a bunch of romance books going at one time. But I mean, whatever, dude. I mean, like I said, I like them, so like I'll read more, of course. So I suppose this is gonna be a shorter video. I didn't really have a lot to say about this one, honestly. It was good. It was good. I liked it. I read it all. I'm gonna read more, honestly. That's all I got to say about it. So, if you guys liked my commentary, if you guys want to read this book, go ahead. I ain't gonna stop you. I'm not even gonna be disappointed if you read it. Like I said, I suggest it. And if you want to read more of her works, go ahead. I'm sure she's an amazing author. I mean, her book, it scored like 5 stars in mine. So, of course, go check her out. So, make sure you like and subscribe. Alright, if you like this video. And that'll do it for the book review. Hope to see you again.